So no key is perfect, and especially as we have introduced species, sometimes we can have misleading couplets. And in this case, I feel like this is a very misleading couplet. If we take 11A, leaves opposite or opposite below, and alternate in the inflorescence, that sounds right. That's what we observed with our plant right at the very beginning. Here are the opposite leaves at the lower end of this plant, and then here they are becoming alternate. Throughout here, I can say my plant is mostly alternate leaved. But down at the base, we occasionally have something that looks opposite. I'd like you to make an amendment in your Hitchcock for this particular key. For 11B here, it says leaves alternate or all basal. Sometimes up at base. At least one species, and we'll amend with what that is later. It's very normal to update your Hitchcock as you go through the book and you go through keys. It's very normal to go through and make little amendments. We're going to take 11B here. It doesn't seem like it perfectly matches, but our leaves are mostly alternate. Another way to amend this more slightly would just be to say mostly alternate, and then we might be more comfortable with it. 18A asks us about stipules sheathing stems with sheathing stems above the petiole, fruticine. This is typical of this family, Polygonaceae, and this is what they mean by that. There'll be stipules that form kind of a sheathing ring around the base. Here we have some pretty clear receptacles. There are some kind of stipulate leaves around our inflorescence, but as you can see, they are not sheathing. (19A) asks if our ovary is deeply 4 to 5 lobed. If you remember our ovary from our picture, hold on while we move. See, our ovary is not at all lobed, so we can disregard that. Fruit and achene or utricle flowers apetalous, meaning lacking petals, and minute. Now the plants can either have separate male and female flowers, they can have separate male and female plants, or occasionally perfect flowers. None of that matches us very well. We don't have occasionally perfect flowers. Every flower is perfect here. So we can go to 20B. Every flower has both male and female parts. We don't know about our fruit yet. We're going to get there very shortly. But the flowers are definitely not apetalous. We had clear, beautiful purple flowers. Petals lobed, ovary 3 to 4 cells, and stamens inserted at the end of a lopsided disc. Well, that certainly doesn't sound like us. Let's see what we have here. Petals not lobed, ovary 1 to 2 celled, stamens not at edge of disc. This certainly agrees with our plant, and petals not lobed actually is a nice agreement with our plant too. Here's one of our intact flowers. You can see we do not have lobed flowers. Sepals 2 or 3, either quickly shed as the flower opens or persistent. 23B, sepals generally 4. If rarely 2, then not quickly shed and not orbiculate. That's going to agree with us better. We had 4 sepals. Stigmas more than 5, forming a sessile disc. Stamens numerous. We can stop right there. That is not the case for us. That would take us to the Nymphaceae. We can go with stigmas 1 to 2, 1 in our case, stamens 1 to numerous. Note again that I'm often skipping the last end of these couplets. But that's only for efficiency in demonstrating how the key works. You should make sure and read the whole couplet, make sure it matches. Make sure and pause this video at times to make sure you can do that. 26A, petals reflexed, stamens connivent around style, inflorescence, and umbel. Leaves strictly basal. Well, we certainly don't like that. If you want to find a really fun flower in our region, look for the Dodecathion genus. They'll be blooming on the prairies still in early to mid-April, and then as soon as May rolls around in the South Puget Sound region, they get harder to find. That does not match our flower very well. You can see the photo there. We can go to 26B. Or the photo, I'm sorry, the drawing there. 26B, flowers not with both reflex petals and connivent stamens. 27A, stamens 2. No, we have stamens greater than 2. Sepals and petals fully distinct. 27B is going to be a better match. 28A, fruit a one-celled, one-seeded capsule, ovary stipulate, stamens 6 to 20, leaves generally palmately, 3 to 5 foliate. This is a tough key here, as 28B says fruit a two-celled capsule or occasionally one cell, but then only 1 or 2 seeded, ovary sessile to occasionally stipulate. Stamens generally 6, occasionally 2 to 4, leaves various. So now we need to really look at our fruit. And fortunately, the plant that we're looking at here today has some very showy fruits that are just developing on the tip here. So let's take one of these. I'm going to grab one of these and take a look at it. We saw early that the ovary was stipulate, so that matches. Unfortunately, it also, or stipitate, I'm sorry. We saw that it was born on a stipe. From this photo, you can see an image that already is starting to look somewhat familiar. We like that almost. But then the flower here matches a little bit better what we just saw. You can see that the leaves here for 28A, when we're talking about a palmate leaf that is 3 to 5 foliate, we're talking about something like that, and our leaves are going to be a little bit different. It's a hard call to say that we want to say that this is stipitate, and it is. So it all comes down to whether our fruit is a one-celled, numerous seeded capsule, or whether it's something else. So this particular couplet is a very difficult choice. We had to go with 28A, we have to say that the leaf is palmately 3 to 5 foliate. Our leaf is certainly palmately veined, but we can't say that it's 3 to 5 foliate. It's just a single toothed leaf, one at a time. Stamens 6 to 20, we have 6 stamens, but not more. Our next choice in 28B says stamens generally 6, which We also have to say something about the fruit, and unfortunately our fruit here is in a kind of immature stage, but it is a typical fruit for this particular family. We have to say fruit one-celled, numerous seeded capsule, or fruit two-celled capsule, only occasionally one-celled. If we look in here, it's hard to tell if this is one or two-celled because it's so young, but when we hold this up to the light, we can actually see, when I hold mine up to the light, I can actually see 8 clear seeds inside of this fruit developing. If I looked at numerous of these, I might see a different number. Kind of see the seeds right there. Numerous generally refers to more than 10. So we're going to go with 28B, Brassicaceae. There are some misleading photos here, but the leaves are not misleading at all. And some of the flower description here is going to be a better match. So let's head to page 275, Brassicaceae. The Brassicaceae, or the mustard family, have some really distinctive fruits. Fruits tend to either be a silique or a silicle. A silicle is a round-like fruit, sometimes occasionally heart-shaped, whereas a silicle is, a silicle is a round-shaped fruit like this, whereas a silique tends to be a long Q-shaped fruit. I remember that by remembering that it's silly Q is how we spell silique versus a silicle, which is circular. So in this case, we're looking at a fruit that looks a lot like this. It's a silicle. And in fact, our first couplets, fruit slenderly stipitate with a stalk between swollen pedicular apex and base of valves, or pedicel apex and base of valves. Stipe at least 1 millimeter, not valvular, and seedless. Versus fruit not stipitate, or stipe less than 1 millimeter. Well, there's our stipe. Our fruit is on a very long stipe, greater than 1 millimeter. We're going to go with 1A, group 1, lead 9A. Group 1, lead 9A. Fruit acyclical, elliptic to oval, strongly compressed, stipe 7 to 18 millimeters, petals deep purple. Oh, this is starting to sound good. Stem leaves petiolate, cordate based, meaning heart-shaped at the base. So our leaves should look kind of heart-shaped. Oh, look at that. We're starting to get something that looks a little bit better than what we've seen before. Generally hirsute. If we look closely at this, we would see it's actually very hairy. This is the genus Lunaria. Brassicaceae is a large family. There's a number of genera in it, some of them with long keys. And so you never know what you're going to get when you get a genus for within the Brassicaceae. It could be a long key with multiple groups, or it could be something like what we're looking at here, which might be a nice surprise. We don't even have to go through another key. We've made it all the way to our species. We're looking at Lunaria annua, also known by the common name honesty, or some people refer to this as money plant or silver dollar plant. It's an introduced European kind of weedy species that you'll find around town right now, with beautiful, right now being early to mid-spring, with beautiful purple flowers. This one's starting to get a little washed out. Make sure to read the whole description and the whole genus description, and then spend some time flipping through the Brassicaceae to see how closely this resembles other flowers within the genus and within the family.